In the fullness of time, galaxies arise and fade away, and we're still discussing TheWizardLiz and Landon. Today we're doing deep psychological dive on why TheWizardLiz attracted Landon, why your unconscious mind makes choices to destroy you, and what can be done to fix this. I used to attract the same kind of guys, and spoiler, I am married now to a man of my dreams who is a perfect husband. So trust me, it is possible to get out of this cycle. Hello, I'm Yulia, and I care too much about stuff I shouldn't care because by 30 I was able to build 3 passive income streams for myself, excluding my husband, and now I basically have no job. I've been to therapy and spiritual practices for 10 years because I had a few traumatic experiences that almost ruined me, but I've decided to become a creator of my life instead of a victim. So for those of you who doesn't know what happened, TheWizardLiz basically accepted proposal from a guy she knew barely a few months, and then she got pregnant around half a year into relationship and got cheated on the 4th month of her pregnancy. And the battle goes on now because I guess he wants her to be by his side and he wants to use her for her money. So I'll only put screenshots of her stories. We will not speculate on other things that are going on online about this. We will only take data that is available to us and that came specifically from her. Also, ladies, I want to be crystal clear that this video is not victim blaming. Today, I will explain certain mechanisms that hide behind the manifestation process, specifically when we are talking about manifesting your partner. Let me put you here. By the way, everyone who blames Liz, I suggest you guys be very careful with that because you never know what kind of story you will end up in. And no matter how smart you are, how spiritual you are, how healed you are, this kind of shit can happen to any of us. We never know what's gonna happen when we get pregnant. We never know what's gonna happen when we give birth. We just never know what's gonna happen tomorrow even. So that is such nonsense. Nobody has any guarantees in this life. The only guarantee we have is that we're all gonna die, and that's it. Nothing else is certain. Okay guys, today we will discuss psychology reasons, spiritual reasons, money, and why good rich guys do not choose you. We're gonna talk about something I learned in Gestalt therapy, which I was doing for a few years, and it is called contact cycle. It says that we have a need, we need to fulfill it, which means our psyche needs happy ending, always. Liz would tell us a story about her father all the time. How he abused her mother, how he cheated on her mother.
She married my father, and immediately when my father married her, he hated her guts. So he was the most abusive person you can imagine.
And consciously, we can hate our fathers for everything that they did to us. We can think that we will never date someone who is like them, but unconsciously, they are the most important male or female figure for our psyche until we decide to change that. Most people don't. Not because there is something wrong with them, they are not smart enough, but because this knowledge hides on our unconscious level here. And usually we only change when something really bad happens to us. That's what happened to me, and that was the reason why I started moving, doing therapy, basically doing something with my life, because I realized that if I don't, things are gonna keep happening to me because I will try to fulfill this cycle of my psyche where I have a need, then I scan the environment. In our example, Liz wanted to get married. She wanted a husband, which is nothing wrong with to begin with. You start looking around and seeing other people. Then you go on dates. And then, in a perfect world, you make a good choice. Then you date, and then you love each other. And you live happily ever after. That is in a perfect world. What happens in our world is that we are trying to build a happy ending with the men that are like our fathers. And because our fathers were not the best people, this contact breaks here. And there we go all over again and again and again and again until we fix this, until we consciously decide that this male or female figure is not the most important anymore, and we find someone else that is gonna take their place. And it is really hard. It doesn't matter how much wrong our parents did us, we are always gonna love them, even if consciously we hate them. By the way, hate is the opposite of love. If you hate someone, that means that the level of your feelings is the same as if you loved them, which is why hate is destructive feeling itself, not because of the old spiritual reasons and makes your frequency bad. No, very simple strategic reasons that hate actually ties you to the person you hate, sometimes even stronger than the love. And the more you hate someone, the bigger their figure become for your unconscious mind. That is why hate needs to be fixed. Not because of any spiritual reasons, but spiritual, of course, are also good reasons to fix that. But even if you think strategically, even if you think that you want to change your life, if you hate someone or if you have any kind of strong destructive feelings, that person will take a huge part of your unconscious mind, and instead of building relationships with good guys and going towards your happy ending, you're gonna build relationships with someone who are like those people you hate. Now we go to spiritual reasons. Imagine a timeline and there is you. Oh my gosh, my drawing skills are really not the best ones, but I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. So there's you here, and for example, you are 25 right now. Here we are 15, here you are 0. Before I tell you this, I need to talk to you about your soul. Our soul looks like this. This is an indivisible part, but it is a Pokemon, and there are parts that can be separated and remain somewhere where we experienced great pain and hardship. The more traumatic experiences we had in life, the more parts of our soul remain somewhere in the past of our timeline. Basically, the whole healing industry, which is therapy, spiritual stuff, shamans, magic, anything, is aimed to pick your soul from here and bring it back to here to become whole again. The more traumatic experiences we had, the worse we feel ourselves in our present time. Symptoms of your soul being spread all around a timeline of your life are gonna be: you feel like you're meant for something greater, something bigger, but you do not have the energy to do that. Your soul is energy, and it is an infinite source of energy. Unlike food, it is pure knowledge. It is purpose. You know why you're here and you know what you're supposed to do. You don't feel lost. You feel like you are in your time and space, and it is connection with God. And when we pick ourselves up from where we left ourselves, we become whole again. And this results in, first of all, usually making more money, because you know your purpose and because you have the energy to follow your path, finding your soulmate. And not the zombie soulmate, the one who is gonna hurt you again, not the one who is gonna break the cycle again and again, but the one who is gonna love you and who is gonna be a good partner for you, feeling energized, having purpose, not having suicidal thoughts, feeling that life is worth living. Basically, every spiritual practice you do, 80% of the practices are aimed to do that. You need to know that our personality is always split. We have loads and loads of literature, psychology, spirituality, history, philosophers who agreed on that. We have traumatized part and healthy part. This can look like 60%, for example, 60 trauma, 60 to 40, 20 to 80, 50 to 50, but rarely. And often it looks more like 60-70% of trauma and 40% of your healthy self. If you've been heavily traumatized in your childhood or throughout your life, this traumatic part can take up to 80% of your personality. And your traumatized part will basically control your whole life, your choices. Why? Because we live in the universe where everything attracts, and your persona wants to be whole again. which is impossible. I want to make that clear. In our human life, it is impossible to become a whole and heal 100%, because besides your own experience, we will have collective experience, you will have collective, your country, your nationality, then you will have the collective experience of your family, you will have collective experience of the whole humanity itself, and then you will move on to the more universal creatures. That is just not possible. You cannot become whole, but it doesn't mean that you cannot desire it. And your traumatized part does not mean bad for you. It just wants to connect. That is why it can bring us to experiences that consciously we don't want to feel, we don't want to go through, but unconsciously it hopes that this shadow will be brought to light and you will fix it. You will actually fix this. The third thing we will talk about is money. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say here, people with similar shadows resonate. Do you remember when Liz met him, she made a video straight away about how she fell in love, how he is her soulmate, how he is the perfect guy for her? And that is exactly the work of the resonance. So you need to be very conscious of that. I'm not saying that it works like that always, but you need to know that the more you feel like this crazy attraction from the first interaction, the more you need to be conscious and aware of what is going on. It doesn't mean that it cannot be real love, but it just means that you need to be very conscious, careful, and slow at this point. So I've seen a lot of hate on her because she wants money from a man, or because she was selling for 10K. She told the story herself that this guy sent her $10,000 and then she replied to his message or something like that. I'm not 100% in the lore. I was in a very similar place when I started dating, and I was choosing men only or mostly based on how much money they make. And the thing is, I was dating total freaks. So how it works, imagine there is a ruler and there are two sides. One called love, the other is called money. This is the spiritual side and this is the materialistic side. When you grow spiritually, your perfect spiritual place will be somewhere here, 100% of love. You do not care about money, you do not care about any material stuff, and basically you become a Buddha who doesn't need to eat, who doesn't need to buy anything. But of course, we are not there. Maybe we will be there one day, maybe not, nobody knows. So the materialistic side of it is wanting money. The perfect human middle way would be somewhere here. But the more you grow spiritually, the more you move here. These are the extremes. Why we care about money in the first place? Because it is the only method we have to measure love. When we were little and the big figures like our father, mother, grandfather, grandmother didn't show us real love, and it can be for multiple reasons. Could be not because they were bad parents and not because they were abusing you or they didn't act right, but because they had to work, because they didn't have time, and sometimes it is because they are psychopaths. My therapist once told me, and I want to tell this to you now, a grown-up adult who is beating up his children is a psychopath. There was nothing wrong with you. You did not deserve it in any way. So when we didn't experience love as children, we become adults who have no freaking idea how love feels. What is it? We don't know. And here, money become the only ruler for us to figure out if the person loves us or not. Here he spends zero money on us, and we think that his love equals zero. And here he spends 100% of the money. And we think that this person loves us. So when you see someone, including yourself, who cares about their partner's money in the first place, the first thing you have to feel towards this person is compassion. Compassion. Because these people have been through something really not good in their childhood. Sometimes it is some really bad stuff. Sometimes they also had their rich parents, but these rich parents bought their love, right? They didn't spend time with their kids, they didn't have the time, and therefore they showed love through material way. And it doesn't matter, but it is never a reason to hate on that person. When you heal your relationship with love, you will care about money less and less. And a lot of women are so scared to care less about money, which is very understandable for me. I was like that too. But I never actually worked with this specifically. I never consciously thought that I need to heal my relationship with love and then I will not care about money, blah, blah, blah. No, never. It's just the more I healed, the less I cared. And I still got a rich husband. But I did not choose him because he was rich. I was looking at who he is as a person, how we connect, what are his values, and how he treats me, right? Besides cash. Okay, guys, my human to AI system officially told me that this video has too many concepts and is too long for modern humans. So I want to make part 2 where we speak about why rich guys don't choose you and what you can do with it. And also, if you like this video, if you have more questions or like basically anything to say, you can send me a direct message on Instagram and I'm gonna read that and reply to you guys. And I'm really interested in what you think about that. So yeah, please let me know and see you in the next one.